3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah!
Well, hello, everybody, to the
Hey.
YokeTalk podcast. Pastor Boz was having a little fun there. hope all you yokers are doing well today. Pastor Boz, I understand you've had a bit of a stressful work day.
It wasn't a stressful work day. It was a stressful work moment at the very end of my day that essentially made the entire day extremely stressful without me knowing about it. So now the rest of the week and next week is going to be that much more stressful.
Yikes.
But things are good.
Sun
Things are
beats
good.
down.
And God loves me. Sun beats
That's right.
down. Listen, today it wasn't a sun beats down. It was more like the storm rose, and I'm dead.
You're dead. That means I'm dead too.
We
dead
all
too.
lost.
We lost.
We've
We
all
lost
lost.
the game. This will make more sense later. We're gonna talk about a board game we've been playing. But yeah, it's definitely a busy time for the both of us with SquadCon coming up next week. It's a little crazy. I got a bunch of stuff that I've been working on, but we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about today for the YokeTalk podcast. We're gonna talk about the UbiForward event. Sony investing $250 million. A lot more than $250 into Epic Games. New World being delayed and Crucible being pulled into closed beta, and then a little board game called Forbidden Desert. So let's go ahead and roll that intro, and we'll get into it. All right. So I want to remind you guys that we do have some updates on the podcast availability. We are now on Google Podcasts, so we've got one more spot for you to listen to. So if you're listening on
made it.
Google Podcasts, welcome. We're glad to have you. And actually, I was going to say that Apple Podcast is hopefully soon, but I was forwarded some emails that went to our Connect email about our podcast approval on Apple Podcasts. Moments before the show.
Literally,
moments
he told me
before.
about this seconds before. 30 seconds before the show started, he said, "Wait a second." So
I've got two emails here. The first is titled Apple Podcasts Show Approval, and the second is titled Apple Podcasts Rejection. So I'm not sure what to believe. Let's take a look here. The first one, I wonder if they were just forwarded to me backwards. So let's see. This first one was on the 6th, apparently, at 1:35. And this one was on the 6th at 8:20. Okay, so the rejection one is the second one. This does not bode well. This does not bode well.
They're like, "Yeah, you should be approved." Then they looked at us. They're like, "Cut it."
Yeah, so the first one said, "It's been approved. You should expect to see it on the iTunes store in a few hours." The second one, let's see here. The following podcast has not been included in the iTunes podcast directory. YokeTalk podcast. And that's pretty much all it tells me.
So, in essence, we have been approved.
We were
We've been
approved, and then we
not
were rejected.
approved. So really, what I'm hearing here is our community is right. Listen, our community. We were told last week. I won't throw any people under the bus, not people from the community, but another podcast. We were told that we're better than that podcast that's been going on for a long time. So just want to say, iTunes, Apple, if you're listening to this,
They just don't know content. They don't know content. Apple doesn't like to have fun. Why do you have an iPhone?
Listen.
Why do you have an iPhone?
I mean,
Get rid of it.
it's
Get
good,
Get rid of it.
but it works for me.
Unacceptable.
All I hear is people with Pixels and all these
Unacceptable.
other Androids. They're like, "Oh, it's not working for me this week." Well, I might have run out of battery, but at least my phone works.
Unacceptable.
Good.
All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get moving here. So we want to talk about the UbiForward event. Now, Pastor Boss, I understand you know very little about this event.
I know less than little.
All right,
I did hear a couple things, but and I can share my thoughts on that. But apart from that, I do not know a lot about the event.
Sure.
So
Yeah, so I looked into it a little bit because obviously it happened over the weekend. I want to make sure I had a bit of knowledge so we could talk about it here for the YokeTalk podcast. And I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. Pastor Boz, I know you have been a little hesitant towards Ubisoft in past years, as they do some questionable things. In the past, and first of all, I believe the UbiForward event was basically meant to kind of replace their E3 showing this year. Obviously, with E3 being canceled, plenty of companies are just kind of doing their own thing, which makes perfect sense. So this was basically their E3 conference, more or less. And I was impressed because in the past, their E3 conferences have been very unprofessional and rather crude. As some of you may know, they like to drop a lot of F-bombs and do just weird things that are just kind of strange and uncalled for. But I was very, very impressed with this event because it was very professional. I don't recall ever hearing even one F-bomb. There might have been from like a side character in one of the games, maybe, but I don't recall. Definitely not from any of the speakers. It was very professional, very well done, and it really seemed like they're not trying to just focus their games on a lot of that crude content that they have in the past. So I was very impressed about that. Pastor Boss, I'm sure you're a little happy to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. Past couple of years, honestly, very unimpressed by Ubisoft, to be completely honest. Not only do they come out with games that are unfinished, generally, they come out with a game and, the internet is not, like, their service is just not working at all. I remember when Watchdogs came out, the internet service was not working at all. Not a big fan of Watchdogs anyways, but apart from that, but apart from all of those issues, I felt like I couldn't sit down with my own kid if I had one who was even the age of 16 years old and not feel uncomfortable watching the content that they had on the screen. But not only that, their games have, like Sarah was saying, a lot of crude content, a lot of their games as of late, a lot of things with nudity and things like that. It's super, super vulgar. And just like, I was kind of upset, to be completely honest, because I used to like some of their games, the Assassin's Creed series. I really enjoyed those games. I really loved those games, but it got worse and worse and worse to the point where it was in every one of their games. And so I kind of took myself off the Ubisoft train the past couple of years.
Except for Siege.
Except for Siege. That's the only game that I am like okay with playing at this point.
Which we haven't played in ages at this point.
It's off my computer. It's just because the size of the game. Let's be completely honest. The size of the game.
Big, I don't think.
It's big enough to fill up things. I have other games to play.
But yeah, so I was very impressed to see. I hope this means that they are kind of shifting away from that content. Obviously, it's a lot harder to tell if most of that content is still being included in their games. I would imagine it is to some extent, but hopefully the focus is not being put on a lot of that crude content, which would be really great. Right. So some of the main things they talked about were Far Cry 6. They talked about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We saw gameplay of that. They talked about Watchdogs Legion. And this is one that I wanted to touch on because I've never cared for Watchdogs. Not even from the beginning. Never cared for it. There was all that controversy with the first one, with the trailer that was like, looked super pretty. And then the game came out and it's like, game's not that pretty. What's going on here? That was supposed to be an in-game trailer. So yeah, there was that. And then, the second one came out and I was like, why is there a second one? Did anyone even like the first one? I don't know.
The second one looked bad. Like, to be completely honest, from the trailers, and that game just looked like, I didn't play it. Like I said, there's a lot of nudity in those games, so I don't play them anyways. But that game looked bad. It just looked like a bad game.
I remember seeing one part. I think it was from Watch Dogs too. It was from one part. You're like in this like spider robot something, like climbing around the city. And I just remember thinking, like, what in the world is this game? I thought you were supposed to be like hacking stuff. Now maybe I'm mixing up something with a different game, but I could have swore that was from Watch Dogs.
That was Spider-Man Watch Dogs.
I don't know, but I was actually really, really impressed creatively from what I saw with Watchdogs Legion. So I'll clarify what I mean by that. it's weird because it seems like the shift or the focus of the game has shifted quite a bit from the original Watch Dogs. The original one was very like serious, felt like all about the hacking and being cool and stuff. I don't know, but whereas this newest one, especially looks much more. It still has some of that serious undertone, especially with some of the setting of the game, but it's more lighthearted, more focused on like the fun and like the creativity of the game. So a really really cool game concept that they're doing in Watchdogs Legion is they basically have this recruitment system where you can recruit almost any NPC you see in the city to your team. And every NPC has their own unique skills and abilities that they have to offer. So like when you're walking through the city, you can scan people with your phone. In previous games, it would tell you a little bit about them or whatever. In this one, it's going to tell you what kind of abilities they would have if you recruited them and things like that. So then you do like a recruitment mission for them, and then you recruit them to your team, and then you can use them and their abilities. And you can switch between these different characters, which are basically like classes. Switch between these different characters that you've recruited, just kind of on the fly, from what I've heard. I never actually saw it, but I heard you can basically switch on the fly, which would be interesting. But
so it's just any person that you run into, or
pretty
is
much
it just
any.
like a select few? Wow,
It's pretty much any person, yeah. So it's actually really cool, really really impressive, and there's so much variety too. There's like this, what you would expect. There's like this lady that's really good with drones, and she's all about using drones and stuff. So that's one side, and then you've got this is a construction worker, and he beats people with a wrench, and it's like
okay.
There's quite the variety here.
Makes sense.
Another really cool thing about the construction worker is you can go into construction sites and then not be noticed by the guards because they just think you're there for construction. So a little bit of the background on the setting of the game. Oh. Basically, it's set in London, which is cool, but it's set in a London that is like being controlled by this private military. So the scenario in the game is you're like the rebellion trying to break free from the private military. So the private military is like all over the place, including the construction sites and stuff. But if you're a construction worker and you go in, like the mission needs you to go into the construction site, but if you're a construction worker, they just leave you be.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty neat.
So
I like that.
Each character has so many different like unique abilities and stuff, and it really gives you a lot of leeway on how you want to approach the mission. You can approach it like super stealthily, or you can just go in with some drones and mess people up. So it looks really really cool from what I saw. I don't know if I'd be playing it. Obviously, I'm not sure how much of that crude content is still in their games. I'd imagine it's still in there to some extent, but I was very, very impressed with some of the creative choices that they made gameplay-wise. So I wanted to point that out and talk about those because I thought they were very cool.
That's awesome. I wanted to... I just read a comment in here from Erkspan. He said Ubisoft is realizing like 3 new major games all in the same universe. Now, the reason why I want to touch on that is I remember when Watch Dogs first came out, there's a lot of rumors that Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed were all in the same universe. Yeah. Now, even though that makes no sense in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion, why? Like, why can't we just have a game and not have it be in the same universe?
You're not a fan of extended universes?
It would be cool if you actually had a plan to integrate it all. But if you don't have that plan, why do you even touch on it? It doesn't. I don't know.
I think it's cool.
Make sense to me.
I think it's cool.
It could be if you were gonna use it, but why just say it? I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like another example of that because I don't remember if it was ever actually like confirmed with the Ubisoft games. Right. But I don't know. I like that kind of thing where games are like they're mixing in like things from their other franchises, and it's a shared world.
It's like Apex Legends and Titanfall.
Yeah. There you go.
Bring in a Titan from Titanfall. Bring in something.
That'd be sick.
But it would be. But they're never going to.
Maybe if the game starts dying and they need to rejuvenate it. Titans.
It needs to be rejuvenated soon.
I thought it was a good game. I was just bad at it.
It was a good game.
I was really bad at it.
I played it 3 times. It's a battle royale.
Warzone though.
Warzone.
Warzone's where
That's where
it's
it's
at, my
at.
friend. There's also that new one, Hyperscape. I haven't played yet.
I haven't played that.
I did download it. I'm gonna try to play it for next week. We can talk about it next week.
All right.
Yeah, we've derailed quite a bit there from the original.
We've derailed a lot. Speaking of Ubisoft and Watchdogs, Ubisoft has a lot of money, but there is a company that has a lot more money, and that is Sony, and they are investing $250 million into Epic Games. So, Unworthy Seraph, what does this mean for Epic Games, and really, what is Sony actually doing here? We talked about Sony last week buying Warframe's developer.
Possibly.
Well, not buying them, whatever that was all about. They talked about that, and now they're getting into Epic Games. Epic Games is huge. They are humongous.
They're giant now.
What is Sony trying to do?
So I actually don't know. I hadn't read the article yet, but I thought it was interesting, so I put it in.
I
here.
haven't read it
let's
either.
take a look. The article is from PC Gamer. It says Sony has made a $250 million investment into Epic Games, granting it minority share of the company and opening the door to a deeper collaboration between them. Specific plans for the future weren't revealed, but Epic said in a statement that the investment will, quote, blend Sony's leading portfolio of entertainment assets and technology and Epic's social entertainment platform and digital ecosystem to create unique experiences for consumers and creators.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Go share your thoughts.
I don't know if there's a whole lot to say here. I mean, I think it's interesting that they would want to. I say it's interesting, but I guess it makes sense that they would want to like team up with Epic, because Epic is just like a stinking giant now because of the success of Fortnite. So right. I don't know if this would maybe mean we see is like some more exclusive Fortnite content coming to PlayStation or something like that. Because right now, like, I don't know what they could do, because Fortnite has really been kind of pushing cross-platform, especially for the industry as a whole, and so like I don't know if they would want to do something like that even, but I don't know what else they would do if it wasn't like exclusive content.
Right. It doesn't look like it's going to be too big though, and here's the reason why. There was a tweet that was posted under this, and essentially it's trying to put this all into perspective. A lot of people are saying, okay, why is Sony doing this? They're doing this with a lot of companies, and it's not to buy the company, essentially. They're just trying to have more collaboration with them to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do in the future to broaden things, right? They put it in perspective, though. Sony's $250 million investment today gives them a 1.5% stake with Epic, which is valued at 17 I wish I could full screen myself. $17 billion. That's just dumb numbers.
Dumb numbers.
Dollars. I mean,
all right. That puts it into perspective.
So Sony is putting a very small stake into this. Obviously, well, that wasn't my math. This guy's math. I don't know who this is. But yes, but $17 billion is what Epic is worth. So it doesn't look like Sony is actually doing much at this point, but they, like they said above, they're just trying to collaborate with other companies, trying to build something. I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe it's like a peace offering. It's like,
a peace
we
offering?
are friends. Here's a gift. And they're like, oh, thank you. I will remember this, and I will do something nice for you later.
I don't know. Maybe we'll give you guys a gray gun named after Sony. Like, I don't know.
I'm glad you pointed that tweet out, though, because that really does put it into perspective. The first part of it that you didn't touch on compares it to 2012, when Tencent invested $330 million into Epic Games, so more than Sony just invested. But back then, that got them a 40% stake in Epic. Yeah. So times have changed.
Yeah, Epic used to only be worth $825 million. And then what was it? 3 years ago, Fortnite came out. Epic went on the rise. A couple other things that they made. A couple other games that came out.
It was basically just Fortnite.
Later. And Fortnite is free.
Microtransactions,
I hate
marketing
microtransactions.
opportunities.
It's for skins. It's not even pay to win. It's just skins.
I mean, when everyone's playing your game, people want to advertise on your game. That's
Hey,
why you saw like the Star Wars events and things like that, and the Avengers events. Like
Truth.
people pay all sorts of money for those.
Truth. I didn't.
No. Yes, yes.
But okay.
Yep. All right. So moving on from that.
Yes. Speaking of $250 million and
doing.
great games that are coming out, there is a game that is from a whole new world that has been delayed. Many of you know what I'm talking about. It's sad times. They're not going to be making $250 million anytime soon because it has been delayed. So, as many of you know, Amazon has been creating games. They just came out with a new game, Crucible. We'll touch on that very shortly in just a minute. But one of their biggest games that they've been pushing for, a year now? About a year they've been really pushing it.
I believe so.
A year and a half. It's a game called New World. It's supposed to be type of brand new type of MMO, real-time gameplay. The only way that I can describe it, it's kind of like an MMO, but you're playing almost like a Skyrim type of fighting style, I guess you can say. Not exactly like that, but that's the...
I think it's closer to like Dark Souls, I think.
Okay, yeah, Dark Souls, yeah. So it's going to be a lot of skill, not necessarily your weapons, your modifications, armor upgrades. That's going to be able to get you through the battle. It's actually going to be how you actually play the game. Are you good or are you bad?
Which I am a fan of games like that.
Right. And so New World has been delayed.
But this isn't just no baby delay again. This isn't this isn't
not
baby
like
delay from May to August. This is
3 months, 4 months.
spring 2021 delay.
This is
That's like almost a year.
This is 9 months. At least 9 months. So, Seraph, what's going on?
It's interesting because this is right after they pulled Crucible back into closed beta, which I guess we'll touch on now because I think the two decisions really do kind of go hand in hand. These have been Amazon's kind of first forays into gaming, Crucible and New World. And Crucible did not do well.
Have you ever heard of a game get released and then here's the actual term for it, unrelease a game? Can you imagine you have a release date,
launch
and then
day,
a month later you have an unreleased date? That's bad. I've never seen it in my entire... How do you unrelease
when
a game?
Assassin's Creed Unity came out and it was so buggy, I believe they stopped selling it on Steam for a little while they fixed it.
Yeah, it was something like that.
That's the closest thing that I can remember to something like this.
Who was it? Hello Games with what was that game that came out that was complete trash and then it ended up like they made a bunch of updates and it got a lot better? Oh, it was a game I really liked. It was that with...
What did you do in the game, Buzz?
Quadrillion planets. You could...
Your camera froze, but I think
my
you're good.
camera...
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
You're good now. Yeah, No Man's Sky. Thank you, chat. Thank you. No Man's Sky.
Okay, so No Man's Sky in the first week...
That game should have been unreleased.
In the first week, 99% of players, 99% stopped playing the game. That was bad. That game did not get unreleased. This might be worse than that.
Well, I mean,
unreleased.
This game probably had less hype than No Man's Sky, but...
True. No Man's Sky kind of put expectations pretty high for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed dinosaurs, and it was
we got dinosaurs. Game. They were just ugly dinosaurs.
They weren't even dinosaurs. They're little things that 2 feet high with 6 arms and I don't even,
all right. Anyway, back to Crucible. So I never actually played it, to be honest. I don't believe you did either, Buzz.
Nope.
But I feel bad doing that with a lot of games. But like, I generally know like what I'm gonna like in a game, and I generally can tell like when a game like feels like it has something that's like worth playing. And so for Crucible, it was kind of a combination of both. I didn't feel like I would like it, and I didn't think it was very good from what I saw. From what I heard, that was rather true, and from what we're
Yeah.
seeing now, I believe that is most certainly true. Unfortunately, that it wasn't very good. Um,
Right.
it was just a weird game. From what I heard, it just like didn't know what it wanted to be, whether it was like a PvE game or a PvP game. It was trying to be both, and it like wasn't good at either, and like they didn't mesh well together. So we'll have to see what they do from here. I would hope that pulling it back into closed beta means they're really gonna kind of rethink the game as a whole. Um,
Yeah.
Overall, like I'm not too worried about Amazon. Obviously, this is their first foray into gaming, Crucible, and soon to be New World, and they're making mistakes, but they're doing the right things. So they're not just like pushing Crucible and like they're not rushing New World. They're delaying it because they're seeing, okay, maybe we don't really know how to make games. So
Truth.
I think that's
And
fine.
and not only that, it's not like they're running low on money, right?
Oh
So
no,
so if they fail at making a game, who cares?
no big
You know
deal.
what I mean? So they can unrelease a game as much as they want or delay a game as much as they want, as long as they know they're going to make it better. I'm a little skeptical about New World. I'm not gonna lie. I pre-ordered it. People were like so hyped about it. It's coming out in April. This is gonna be great. It's now coming out in May. It's gonna be great. Now it's coming out in August. Now it's coming out in 2021. Like, I'm a little worried about this game. I specifically bought the collector's edition, or not the collector's, the special edition, whatever
The
it
one
was,
that gave you the rock paper scissors emo.
just so I could play rock paper scissors. That's all I wanted to do. I don't care about anything else in that game right now. I just want to play rock paper scissors. But at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I might revoke my pre-order and wait for it to come out and see what it looks like, because Crucible did not give me a whole lot of faith. I'm not saying it's gonna be a bad game, but I am saying Amazon is new, and so we'll have to see where they go from here. Are they gonna actually make a good game when it comes out? Are servers gonna be broken? What's gonna be the case in scenario? So I'm a little skeptical about New World at this point.
So I kind of have an opposite opinion, because kind of like I was mentioning before, they're taking the right actions and they're realizing that they're making mistakes. So that to me shows that they're willing to improve. They're doing the right things that they need to improve. So I feel like I would be more excited by the time New World releases, that it's going to be a good game. It's going to be something that I enjoy. I was excited for it already. Wasn't super excited, didn't want to get my hopes up too high. Obviously, I knew coming into this that they'd never made a game before, and I knew that I should be a little worried about that at least. But to me, delaying the game the first time, that was already a good sign, but it was only a few months, so it's like, okay. And I believe part of that had to do with the whole COVID thing, just kind of affecting everything. So I was like, okay, do what you got to do, delay the game a few months, that's fine. I was glad that they were working on it more before release. But now, even though we have a bigger delay this time, so like you're saying, like that worries you more almost, right? That it's a bigger delay.
What worried me most is you put dates on this game.
Sure.
So let me put a different perspective on it. Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. Don't talk to me about Metroid Prime 4.
But here's the thing. They didn't put a date on it. They said it's in development. Then they're like, "Hey, we're scrapping the whole thing. It doesn't look like the way we wanted to. We're going to push it out. But we're not even going to give you a year." Like, they never even gave a year. There's not even a window.
We
The
have
window
no
is
idea.
probably 2022 or 2023 we're looking at here.
Makes me so sad.
But these people, they're like, yeah, this is the exact day that's going to come out. And people are getting hyped. People pre-ordering it like crazy. And then it's like, are they just trying to get pre-orders? I don't know. It's weird. You shouldn't put out a date on a game if you're not. I understand COVID, but that's a long time. It's another 9 months. So I don't know.
I can see that. I think that goes with the fact that they're new to games. They didn't know what they were getting into. But to me, like the fact that it's had such a huge delay now back to spring 2021, that gives me more confidence that it's going to be a good game, that they're going to give it the time that it needs. They're going to make it the best that it can be. And they're doing like closed beta tests now. So people are playing the game and giving them feedback. And they've been iterating on that. And I believe that was something they mentioned in their announcement, that they were delaying it again, that they want to keep iterating, they want to keep making it better. And I'm sure, the whole Crucible kind of flop has affected their decision to move it back, I'd imagine. Because like I was mentioning earlier, it's probably like, oh, maybe we're not too good at this gaming thing. Maybe we should give New World a little more time in the oven.
Right.
And you keep freezing for me. Hopefully it doesn't keep happening.
You keep freezing on my screen.
Okay, well, at least it's mutual. Mutual freezing.
Hey, So, anyways, all right. So, I'm a little worried about New World, but guys, with everything being delayed and Crucible being unreleased, essentially the game dying, there's another game that involves a lot of death. A lot of death.
But this isn't a video game. We played it in a video game, but
we may have to spend a little bit of time on this, guys. There's a board game called Forbidden Desert. Now, there's a series of them. There's Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, and Forbidden Sky. They're my favorite board games of all time. They're wonderful. They're a little bit confusing until you really start playing it for a little bit. We've been playing Forbidden Desert for a few days now, maybe 3 or 4 days. I only
just played it yesterday, but
I played this game many times. Well, you reminded me yesterday that you played it with my family.
But it'd been a long time since I'd played.
Well, we played it on Unworthy Sarah's stream yesterday, called Forbidden Desert. It's amazing. It's essentially everybody going against the board game itself. There's different
cooperative experience.
It is. You get different skills that you can use that are separate only to yourself. It's a great experience. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun. However, we keep dying.
Yeah.
A lot.
The games are kind of designed to be very hard to win.
Yes, they're very challenging.
I believe Ace was saying, or maybe it was you, or somebody heard this from somebody somewhere. It may or may not be true. But that the developers, the people who designed the game and know everything about it, they still only beat the game every 1 in 10 tries.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's awful. That makes me feel a little bit better about myself. I'm not gonna lie. I've played this game a lot. I've beaten Forbidden Island once. It's a little bit less technical than Forbidden Desert, although I read the rules today and I was like, this is a lot more technical than I remember. But Forbidden Desert, I've never beaten it. I've played this game over a dozen times. I've never beaten it once.
We got really close last night.
We got really close last night. I went a little rogue.
You went on the first. Very rogue.
Now, granted, we weren't going to win that one.
Not with you doing that.
We had no pieces. We were
running
out of...
together.
Stick together. My goodness, guys.
You left us jetpacked off into the middle of the map and died because you ran out of water. What did you expect to happen?
Well,
we stick together. Unless we planned to split up, which is what we did the second time. But
right, but here,
that wasn't the plan the first time.
At least I didn't die from the sand.
Yes,
see, every time I play this game, I die.
There's two ways to lose this game. There's two ways to lose this game. Either the map gets covered in sand and you get buried and everyone dies, or you run out of water and everyone dies.
And that's if one person runs out of water, then everybody dies. That's
all or nothing.
You lose the game.
All or nothing.
You either save everybody or you don't save anyone at all. It's a very rough game, so we'll probably have to play that on stream again soon because it's a lot of fun. But I did go a little rogue.
You went very rogue. Very rogue.
I did. Everybody. I didn't murder everybody. So essentially, okay.
You murdered yourself and thus murdered everyone. It was negligence.
Not
wrong. That's what it was.
It wasn't negligence. It was looking forward and it was
intentional negligence.
It was ending the game quicker because I knew it wasn't going to end well.
So
anyways.
you threw. So you threw.
Yes, I threw.
This is unacceptable.
I threw.
This is unacceptable.
So
I am upset.
Yeah. Well, you can be upset, and that's okay.
Thank you, Aki. Thank you. I need that. I am upset. This is unacceptable. But it was a lot of fun.
It was. We had a good time. The second time we almost won.
We played for like 3 hours, I think, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we played 2 games. Usually, I looked at the box. I think the box says that one game should take 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but I think
we just tried really hard.
We were overthinking big time. We were way overthinking.
Basically, here's how every round went. This is almost every single round. Somebody's like, all right, I have a plan. This is what I think we should do. Somebody's like, all right, I like that plan, but how about this? And then somebody else is like, that's pretty good, but what about this? And then the last person is like, okay, what about this though? And then everybody's like, all right, let's combine all the plans into a master plan and let's execute that.
One of the times we took 15 minutes going around trying to figure out what we were going to do. And we literally went, and this is what triggered me the most. We went with the person that started with their
the original plan.
And I was like, no, we just wasted 15 minutes talking about this. And we decided to go with this person's plan. I was,
oh, my, it's so good though. It's so good.
Yes. So
it really teaches you to like, you know, be cooperative and, you know, take each other's feedback and bounce off each other. It's interesting because like it's a cooperative game, whereas most board games are like head to head, you're going against each other, and usually that's what makes board games like stressful and makes you rage at each other and, you know, ruins friendships, all that sort of stuff. But it's interesting because even though this one's cooperative, I think it still has just as much like potential to do that and like kind of pit you against each other, because if you're not agreeing and you can't come to compromise, then it's like nobody's happy, and it's like, oh, I think you're playing the game poorly. Oh, well, I think you're playing the game poorly. But we did pretty good. We didn't clash too much except for when you went rogue. But
I was gonna say, you know, ruining friendships and stuff like that. I feel like I lost 3 friends yesterday for about at least 20 minutes. Everybody, you know, ragging on me for going rogue.
We were in agreement.
We had no parts.
You went rogue.
We had 10 sands left. I wasn't about to just let us go on for another.
We made a vote, and you were the only one.
It was my turn.
We stick together.
It was my turn.
Stick together. But it's a very, very, very good game. Highly recommend. I haven't played the other ones like you have, but
if you guys have Tabletop Simulator, I would recommend. First of all, if you don't have Tabletop Simulator, I recommend it anyways. It's just a great.
You can basically play any board game,
essentially, and it's really good. I really like it, so I would definitely recommend that. But apart from that, Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Island, and Forbidden Sky are the 3 games. They get more technical as they go along. Forbidden Island is it's not straightforward, I wouldn't say, but it's more straightforward than Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Desert is pretty straightforward right now because we've been playing it for a couple days. But then Forbidden Sky, I played it for like a half an hour once, or maybe an hour. It's super difficult and super confusing because I've only played it once, but it's really good. All of them are really good. It's a lot of fun. So definitely recommend those games. Very difficult, but get a group of friends. I would say it's usually you can play with 2 players, but I don't recommend it. I would play with at least 3, but 5 is where it's at. When you have 5 people to play with, if you guys have a group of 5 people, including yourself, to play it,
because there's 6 classes, right?
6 classes, but I believe 5 is the amount of players that you can have, at least in Forbidden Desert.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other ones, but they're all different in their own way. Definitely great games. So if you guys, community parties, things like that, it would be a lot of fun. So definitely do that. I recommend it, and maybe on stream we'll have to do that again soon.
Yeah, it was funny too. Not tonight. We got something to do tonight.
9:00, dude.
Anyway,
9:00.
I wanted to talk about how it was funny because I went into Ace's stream today. Shout out to Acewing. He was playing with us last night on Forbidden Desert. And you all are just getting super invested in this game, trying to figure out how to win.
Listen, all about it, man. It's funny because I was working, obviously, but then I heard him mention the game, and I was like, I might have to chip in my 2 cents here and there. But
yeah. So I was listening to his stream. He was talking about Forbidden Desert, and he was like literally like going through the rule book, like trying to like read everything and be like, how can we play this better? Like, what are we missing? And like, it turns out we were like missing a very crucial ability of one of the classes.
Only on the first game though, which was my class. The second game, that class we'd even have.
True.
So,
yeah.
But the climber, at the beginning of Ace's stream, I would have said the climber was the worst character. Turns out He's actually OP.
Apparently, climber is meta.
It's actually broken. When we read through the whole directions and what you could do with the climber, he's actually broken.
The gist of the climber is that he can not only climb over spots that are buried under sand, but he can bring somebody with him. So you can bring another player with you, which
but
is
not only can you bring
useful.
somebody with you, but the navigator who can move other people can move the climber, and the climber can bring somebody with him as he moves. Meta. Bring the archaeologist with you. You'll have sand for days.
Sand for days.
You'll never be buried.
Never be buried. Yep.
Never.
It's pretty good.
So we're gonna win next time.
Yeah, we will.
This is the one.
We were so close. We were so close. Basically, how you win the game is you have to find, I think, 5 parts, right? 5 parts?
4.
4? 4 parts
4.
Of your broken airship. So the scenario is you crash in a desert, and you have to go find the parts of your airship and then repair it, and everybody get to the landing pad and take off and no longer be in the desert. So we had all the parts, right? And we were trying to get to the landing pad. We were trying to group up and leave.
All the parts. We were all a little bit struggling on water, but we had like our little we had our abilities where we could like put up little solar shields, so if the sun was beating down on us, we wouldn't lose any water. People were stuck in tunnels. People were blocked off by lots of sand and had the
that was the problem.
and then eventually it got to the point where we pulled a tile. It was the last tile we pulled too, and we died.
We were so close. We didn't dig up enough sand. We just let a bunch of sand pile up in the corner of the map, and we neglected it.
We needed one more turn. One more turn, and we could have all gotten into the tunnel.
So close.
Gotten to the. It was a sad day. It was a sad day.
It was heartbroken.
Yes, but an attempt was made, and it was an attempt failed, Aki. So
yes,
very sad. But I definitely recommend those games.
Indeed.
But speaking of games that you've been playing and things like that, so Seraph, one thing that we like to do here on our Yoke Talks, talk about some life stories, games that you are playing. So what is some games that you're playing right now, and what are your plans for the future on your stream and things like that? I know you've been playing a lot of Jedi Fallen Order, but what are your plans for the future, and how far are you in that game really?
Yeah, so I don't know how far I am in the game. I don't know how long it is, but I feel like I have most of the abilities. I think actually I just got an ability, and then it told me like, oh, you've recovered all your Jedi abilities. So I think that's what I did. So maybe I'm getting close to the end or like halfway or something. But it's been a lot of fun. Jedi Fallen Order. It's basically a Dark Souls game, but with a Star Wars skin and like a couple other variations. Super good. I love the combat. Took me a little while to get used to. But I've been playing through that. A lot of fun. And then after that, we have Spongebob Remastered. Pretty great. Ray hates me for liking it, but you know, the nostalgia. It's great. It's a great game. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrated. So good. So that's next on the list. And then something I'm really excited for that I've actually wanted to play for a long time. But I think it only just recently came out on PC or just recently came to Steam, one of the two. But it's called Outer Wilds. And to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the game, but I know it's really wacky and like cool and interesting. From what I've gathered, it's like a kind of like a space exploration game, but it's like if space exploration was like this crazy dream, and there's just like so much like crazy stuff. So I've heard really good things about it. And I haven't looked into it more because I've heard it's best if you go in blind. But it's called Outer Wilds. It's finally out on Steam, so I bought it. I just haven't played it yet. I'm trying to work through the other games I'm going through. But I'm really excited to play it. I think it's going to be really good. And I'm excited to talk about it here whenever I get around to playing it.
Nice. I've heard of Outer Wilds. Never really looked into it or anything like that.
Not to be confused with Outer Worlds, which is kind of like a Fallout game, but not made by Bethesda.
I don't think I've ever heard of Outer Worlds.
I would get those confused all the time when I would hear them. I'd be like, oh, wait, they're not the same thing. One is Outer Worlds, the other is Outer Wilds. So, yeah. confusing.
Too close. Too close.
But yeah, what about you? I know you've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VI on stream. Not exactly a new game, but one that you're quite fond of.
I love Final Fantasy VI. So guys, I'm almost done with it. I'm in the final dungeon, which takes a little while, but I kind of screamed through the second half of the game. So somebody actually came to my stream yesterday and said, "Hey, is this a speed run?" And I looked at my camera and I said, "No. Why would you think that?" And he said, "Because your people are so under-leveled. This looks like a speed run." And I was like, "Oh, this is not good." So anyways, dude,
was it like taking a bite at you, or was he impressed?
No, he wasn't impressed. He was just kind of like he was actually legitimately confused. He thought it was a speed run because literally I have 4 characters that are like super powerful, super overpowered. I put them all on one team, and apparently you have to have 3 teams, and so I have 8 characters that are, well, I didn't use them very much in the game at all, and super underpowered and dying a lot. So yes, and then there's exclamation point dead emotes in my chat.
Dead?
Or not emotes, commands that you can use. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. So after this game is over there, I'm trying to beat it by Friday on my stream because new Paper Mario game comes out. Paper Mario Origami game. I'm excited about that game.
That looks cool. I was watching. Did you watch the Nintendo? I don't know if it was a direct, but it was like a treehouse thing they streamed showing off the game a little bit.
When was it?
Last week.
I think I saw part of it. I don't remember though.
Yeah,
Wait, no.
It looks really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved the Paper Mario games. The one thing I'm really excited about this game, they kind of went back to the original formula of Paper Mario. They went back to what Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door was. And so the fact that they did that, I'm really excited about that. So I'm excited to play that. Hopefully we'll be playing out on Friday. If not, we're going to get to it on
Is that when it comes out?
I am. It comes out Friday.
There's a lot of games coming out right now. Or at least it feels like
a lot of games
the
coming out
Death
right
Stranding just today or like really soon came out on PC. I want to play that eventually too. I think I got to look in to make sure that like the content of the game is okay because I actually don't know.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, but it looks super cool.
All I remember is the trailer shows Norman Reedus's butt. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, but
that's all I really know. And there's a baby. There's a baby.
There's a baby. And I think probably multiple babies, but
I don't even know.
It's a strange game. But
it's
I want to make sure the content of the game is all right before I play it, of course.
Right.
But I hope to play it because it looks super interesting and I've heard really good things. So and it just came out on PC, or
the last thing
very soon.
Yeah, is it soon?
It's like,
I know
it's like this
Horizon,
week if it's not already out.
Horizon Zero Dawn comes out on PC August 7th.
I don't know.
I think I'm right.
Don't
Anyways, the game that I'm actually excited about, and I only just learned about it today. It's called Fall Guys. So I don't know.
Ace sent it to me. Did Ace send it to you?
He didn't send it to me, but I heard him talking about it. Are you able to pull up a clip of that video by any chance on here or no?
I'll make it happen.
Okay. So essentially, guys, if you guys don't know what this is, Fall Guys is essentially just a very strange game with a bunch of people. There's no bots. These are all real people that you're going to see that are playing this game. If you guys remember the American game Wipeout, it was essentially humans doing crazy things, getting hit by different things, going into water, all sorts of different. It's kind of what it makes me think of. But there's like 30 people all at once or even more that are doing all these wacky mini games to essentially come out on top. And it looks like a lot of fun. So once we get up this clip, I think it's going to be not only, honestly, I could see God Squad Church using this as an event night and really having a good time. You can have like 30, 40 people. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I don't know. This honestly, whoever came up with this guy, brilliant.
I've got it ready. Let's take a look here.
Let's take a look at this.
Let's take a look. It looks very interesting. Honestly, it looks like it was like made for children. But that's okay. It's like it looks absolutely ridiculous. At first, I was like I thought it was like this PG battle royale. But apparently, it's more like Wipeout, like you were saying. It looks absolutely ridiculous.
It looks so much fun though. Like
It
there,
does look like a lot
it's
of fun.
crazy. I think that this is gonna cause a lot of laughs. The fact that you can customize your own player the way that you want to. It
It almost
it
reminds me of like Gang Beasts.
yes, that's exactly
Yeah,
what I thought of when I first saw it. Except it's like 30 people all at the same time.
60 people.
60? Is
60
it?
people.
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness gracious, guys! Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I
Like forget Stream Racer. Let's all play this.
forget Forbidden, Forbidden Desert. Let's and so this game is about to be in beta, but it comes out August 4th. It is set at a $20 price point on Steam. So if you guys are, I think honestly for 20 bucks, that's a game I could get into. There's
It
online
it
tournaments
looks
from what I
looks
hear.
pretty
It
good.
looks good. So
Looks pretty
I'm
good.
excited about that. So that's gonna probably be something that honestly I'm hoping there's gonna be like lobbies they could play with other people
Yeah.
because I don't have 60 friends.
There's got to be like lobbies and stuff, I'm sure.
There's got to be
Somebody in
lobbies.
the chat, Soulbound Alchemist said, "Will Seraph ever play Doom or Doom Eternal?" Great question. I don't really have a reason why I haven't played them, other than the fact like I feel like they'd be okay, that I'd enjoy them, all right, but that I wouldn't really like super enjoy them. I'm super picky when it comes to games, and if I don't think I'm gonna really enjoy it, I'm probably gonna pass it up just because I can't play everything. Unfortunately, life has things to do, and work and stuff. So I'm very 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 picky with my games, and Doom just doesn't really make the cut for me. I think it'd be fun. In a way, like I feel like I could compare it to Warframe in a sense that like the core gameplay is meant to be like really fun, but where it would be different from Warframe is like, okay, well, there's not like long term goals to work towards. It's just like you play the game and you beat it and that's it. And I'm sure there's like some little bit of replay value here and there, but it's like simple, straightforward, and I feel like I would enjoy it all right, but that I wouldn't love it, and then it'd be over. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they do have the multiplayer, but I'm
It's
probably rather play other multiplayer shooters.
yeah, I feel like Doom, its multiplayer is there,
It's there.
but it's not like you don't buy it for the multiplayer. Like, people buy Call of Duty for the multiplayer, right? People don't buy that for the campaign experience for the most part, but you have that one weird guy that does. But you do have you don't buy Doom for the multiplayer experience. You buy it for Doom, the storyline. So
Well, I don't even think people buy it for the storyline. They just
not the storyline, the gameplay.
yeah, they buy it for the
Yeah,
the gameplay. I mean,
the
honestly,
campaign gameplay.
killing demons is a pretty good premise. I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting that none of us here at God Squad really play it too much because it would be funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's
Be funny. Jagged Jazz says, "Would y'all play Microsoft Flight Simulator?" I don't know about you, but I would.
I would. I remember back when guys, this is getting into the old days. Okay, I know. Back in seventh
Old
and
man
eighth
boss.
grade, seventh and eighth grade, which was I was 13 and 14 years old in those two grades, so 19 and 18 years ago, 18 to 19 years ago, I played Flight Simulator. Now, graphics weren't the best then, but also landing had not been apparently a thing in the flight simulator games. I would do everything to the T in my classes when they taught us how to do these types of things on Flight Simulator, and my plane always blew up. And honestly, all I do, my teacher, I remember one time she came behind me and she said, "What are you doing?" I'm literally flying in, I think it was New York City. Maybe it was just, I don't remember where it was, but I was pretending I was on the Death Star, right? And I was pretending I was Luke Skywalker, like making my plane go sideways and flying in between buildings and stuff like that. That was super fun. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, so that happened. But I could never land. She asked me to land the plane, and it exploded. So
I've always really enjoyed like flight simulation in games, whether it's like a focus of the game or a small part of the game. I always loved flying like jets and the helicopters in Battlefield and stuff. I have a couple joysticks actually. I have one just main joystick, and then I have another set that's a joystick and like a throttle. And I haven't used that one too much. I got it for free, which is pretty nice. But I would love to play flight sim. But it's
wait.
hold on. It's like one of those things where it's like, do I want to play that or would I play something else? Because like I was saying, there's only so much time for so many games. So
That's true. That's very true. Now, Jackie the Jazz, or the Jackie Jazz, sorry. He says, I just like flying planes in game, and are you telling me?
okay,
Are you telling me you actually fly planes, or
little
do you just
pilot in
like,
training over here.
or are you like you just like flying in a plane? There's a big difference between flying planes. Wait, he says, yup. Guys, we have a pilot
Pilot, real pilot.
flying a plane.
But yeah, I always loved flight simulator. I would play it in high school on the engineering computers because the engineering computers were a little bit more beefy because they had to run the engineering software, so they could actually play some games. And I would play some flight sim on that here and there. And then I'm just remembering the episode of Leverage where he uses a flight sim. It was amazing. So this is like, if you don't know anything about flight sim, this is how like accurate it is, or at least supposedly. But I feel like it'd be pretty accurate. So the scenario in the show Leverage, if you're not familiar with it, it's fine. But the scenario was there wasn't anybody in the air traffic control place that tells the planes how to like land and stuff. And so there was a guy in there who didn't know how to do that stuff. He didn't work there. But there was this plane trying to land. So he's trying to talk to him. He's like, no, you can't land. And the plane is like, no, we're running out of gas. We need to land now. Tell us the coordinates and stuff. And so he literally opens up Flight Simulator on a computer and listens to the in-game jargon that it tells you because you can load up to specific airports and like land at real airports. So he loads up to the airport that he's at and he listens to the jargon and he just repeats the jargon to the plane so that it can land. It was
so good.
I was so happy.
He opens up this big book and he's looking through it and he's like, nah. And then obviously you see him load up on the computer in front of him, Windows or the, Flight Simulator. And it shows I think it was Flight Simulator 10 or something like that. Loads it right up and starts repeating everything. It was so good.
I was so happy because I love Flight Simulator and I was so happy.
If you guys have never seen the show Leverage, it is my favorite. I know we've talked about this on this podcast.
We did.
Before.
I think we mentioned it in the first episode, actually.
Yeah, we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. It is my favorite show of all time. It is such a good show. It's got a good storyline. It's lighthearted. It's serious. It has good relationships. Not even relationships as in like mushy relationships. It's like funny relationships too.
And like really like thought out in depth too. It's like it's like so good.
It's really, really good. So if you guys have never seen Leverage, I recommend it highly recommended. But it's just, but yeah, so good show.
Very good show.
And you should come over tonight and watch it.
We're busy tonight, remember?
Yeah.
But
9 o'clock.
You know what else is a good show? The YokeTalk podcast. And you know what else? It's over. We're out of time.
All the yokers out there.
It's true. We're out of time. We've gone through. I mean, technically, we could go for another like 2 minutes or so if we wanted, but I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it up. It's been amazing, everyone. Pastor Balls, do you have any final words for our yokers out there?
I love all you guys. You guys are all absolutely amazing. I'm loving the yoker terminology. So, we got one person going yoke. And so I love it. But anyways, thank you guys for coming in. We definitely have a good time doing this every single week.
Yeah. And remember to send us topics.
Yes, send us topics. And guys, remember as well, you guys are watching this on this stream right now. God
or maybe
Squad
recorded.
Church. We also have a church service every single Saturday, 1:30, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Definitely come out. We got giveaways. We got live music. We have a lot of stuff going on. So it's definitely an amazing time. I hope you guys come out for that as well. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Sounds pretty good to me. That's going to do it for us here at the YokeTalk. You know it's over. You know it's over. At the YokeTalk podcast. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will see you here next week at 4 p.m. Eastern for some more YokeTalk. So take care, everyone.